That happened, didn't it? What you just that was real, wasn't that wasn't just a nightmare, was it? That just happened. Arsenal did lose to Burnley, and they didn't score, and now we get to talk about it. Hello, and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show. Do you know what? I can't do the show after Southampton because I work on Wednesdays, and I was sitting there going, I'm gutted. This is going to be the first time I'm not able to do a Raw reaction show because of work on a Wednesday. Oh, thank God. Thank God I'm working. Oh, thank God I can't do the show on Wednesday. Jesus Christ. Oh, dearie me. Okay. How are we going to do this? How do we do this? Right. Arsenal 0. Burnley 1. Thank you for tuning in. No, we're not going to do that, sure. This is TGT, where we try to put positive spins on things. We try. I don't see that happening today. And I don't see anything changing is the worrying thing. I don't see anything changing at all. I don't see the club getting rid of Arteta, which is a realistic and no longer silly option. Like, we're not in the realms. We're not like after the FA Cup, people still calling for him to go out. Like, that was genuinely happening. People were asking for him to leave after we won an FA Cup. But now it is like, you're well within your rights to think that it is the right decision for Arteta. And I didn't think we'd be here. I genuinely didn't think we'd be sitting here after Burnley going, yeah, like it's probably not the best idea to carry on with this, you know? And the thing is that I have defended like decisions based upon like logic, but there is no logic in picking Granit Xhaka today. What's that? Why are you picking him? Like, I don't understand. Why would you pick Granit Xhaka after the performance he put in the North London derby? He's a live wire, and you're going up against a physical, in-your-face side in Burnley, and then he does that, and then Granit Xhaka does that. Like the most Granit Xhaka thing you've ever seen. And I said before the game, I tweeted out, follow us at the Gooner Talk TV. It's full of wondrous joy and positivity. I said before the game, I'm giving the side a clean slate. Like, I will rub away the rest of the season. The Spurs game was shit. Like, it was terrible. We won't do it anymore. We won't look at that, and we'll just go from here, and we'll see what the response is. And that's the response I got. That is the response. That is what I get for my loyal service. My loyalty is repaid like that. Like, what? Like, my openness to try and be like, yes, let's just focus on the now and just let it go. But not like, what is going on? Oh, we're gonna get your thoughts. In the chat box. Graham Page says, Tom, don't laugh. I can't do anything but laugh, Graham. This is how I cope with great misery. I don't cry at funerals, or rather, I do. Well, I don't laugh at funerals, but this is how I cope with things. Yeah, like this, I can only see comedy, like, and it is comedic. It is comedic to pick Xhaka. That is hilarious. That is a hilariously stupid decision to pick Xhaka again. Like, it's just stupid to pick Xhaka again. Oh, I can see it's irritating you that I'm laughing. And I know it's not funny in the actual grand scheme of things, but I don't know how to react. Like, he has to do different. He has to do things differently, and the club has to do something about it. If this, like, how long do you let this go? How long do you let this go on? You have to do something. Like, if things are not changing, you have to, like, and the red card, unfortunately, is going to hide a lot of the problems. The red card is going to hide a lot of the issues. And there's a horrible feeling inside me that it's going to go, the club's going to turn around and be like, we were unlucky, we had a man down. No, take responsibility for the loss. Take responsibility for it. And I am going to be so keen-eyed to see what Arteta says in the post-match press conference about Xhaka. Because I sat here 3 hours ago and defended how he treated Matteo Guendouzi, which I look like a right pillock for doing it, if he comes out and treats Granit Xhaka differently. Obviously, we won't know what will go on behind the scenes with Granit Xhaka. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But there has to be consistency. And if Xhaka is not thrown out of whatever lineups we're doing. I mean, the positive is he's not going to play for 3 games because he's suspended, because he's an idiot and he's a moron. I just don't know where you go from here. There is nothing. Like, you can't risk. Let's look at the league table. The Premier League. Don't get used to it, Arsenal fans. It may not be where we are come the end of the season. We may not be in this division anymore after the end of this season. It genuinely may not be our home for much longer. Right. Oh, God, don't look at that bit. Okay, so Burnley are now 4 points off us. We are now 5 points off of the relegation zone. 5 points off the relegation zone. Oh, it's terrible. I've got my laughs out now. My Joker laughs are gone. And now, oh Jesus! Now it gets to a stage where you just start feeling angry, really, really angry. Oh man, oh dearie me. Is he going to go? Chat box, tell me. Is he going to go? Yes or no? Simple answer. Are the club going to sack him? Like, I don't want to know whether you think he should be sacked or not. I want to know whether you think the club are going to do it. Like, that's what I want to know. Because, like, I think it's a fairly obvious thing to talk about whether or not he should or shouldn't go. Is he going to go? That's what I want to know from you guys. Tell me in the chat box, yes or no. And we're going to throw up your comments. No. Best be gone by Wednesday. No. Yes. Connor thinks that he is going to go. Tom, all the fans knew Xhaka shouldn't start. How can a professional manager not know? No idea, mate. It's hysteria, Tom. It is. No. Yes. For who? Yes, he will go. Yes, says Owen. He's gone. Tony Mills says no. Gunnosaurus' son says no. Not yet, in my opinion. Says, oh, Christ, you all threw in comments there very quick. Mike Cananda says no. Sack him. No. Sack him. Yes. No. No, they are not, but they should. Ingo says no, because we have so many games coming up. Sack him. No. Bottle. No. Oh, no Bottle to sack him. Yes. Arteta needs to go. It's simple. Yes. No. He won't get sacked. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's try and look at this realistically. Let's go down the 2 routes. The first route, we have to just sit here and say that he ain't going to go anywhere. He's not going to go anywhere. My instinct is not going anywhere. That's my instinct. I don't think the club's... Look how tentative they were to sack Unai Emery. Look how long it took. Look how long it took to get rid of Unai Emery. Do you really think they're going to get rid of him now? I just can't see it. And that's someone's asking me to have a bet about whether he should stay up until Chris or whether he will stay. And I'm still convinced he'll be here. Like, I'm still convinced because I just don't see the club doing anything. Mark Hernandez says, should the board trust him with the January window? Well, instinct says yes, because Partey and Gabriel came in who have been very good signings. But do you want him? Do you want him to? Same players, same tactics, same result week after week. I can't defend him anymore. Xhaka wouldn't have made my bench today. Shambles. Cash, I don't blame you, mate. Like, I have absolutely no issue with anyone turning around saying that you can't back him anymore. Like, because what can you back? What substance is there to back? Like, what is there that makes you think, yes, we're going in the right direction? I thought we were. Like, I thought we were making improvements. There was evidence in the FA Cup win that we were making improvements. But it's just gradually got worse. And it's just gradually a case of the club and the players. Like, you can have a go at the players all you like. And that will be the argument to say that it's not Arteta's fault. The argument for it not being Arteta's fault is it's the players. The players aren't good enough. The players are better than Burnley. They're better than Burnley. You cannot argue that. Aubameyang, Lacazette, in themselves, 100 million. Way more than the entirety of the Burnley squad. Way more. You cannot continue this. You cannot continue it at all. It cannot be allowed to go on this way. I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I'd be sitting here saying that the club need to act. And it's not a case of me going, I still think the notions of being Arteta out, Arteta in, the same as, I hate the fact we've gone back to the Wenger, end of the Wenger. I hate it. I hate the fact that we live in this social media frenzy world where you have to be on. I had someone tweet me say, let's get Arteta out trending. I'm like, what a loser. And to be honest, I'm going towards the edge of saying that I think the club should make a change. In fact, if the club make a change, I'm not going to be upset by that because the club would be, in my opinion, probably doing the right thing of saving a sinking ship. It wouldn't upset me to see Arteta go. I'd be disappointed in the fact of him. I'd be disappointed in him for not doing what was right. Because I think what you should respect in a way is that oh no, there's going to be a lot of people laughing at a lot of people that said that Arteta should be kept on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? But actually what you should be is that the people that have supported him have been let down. I feel let down by him. I really do. For us to back him, for people to continually throw support at him, and for him to select the same team. Was it exactly the same team that played against Spurs? I think it was, wasn't it? It was the same team that played against Spurs. So nothing changes. Nothing changed from midweek. You put Emile Smith-Rowe on the bench. You're putting Nketiah on the bench. Balogun's nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. After scoring 2 goals in 61 minutes, and he's not on the bench. And apparently, I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's little leaks coming out that apparently Balogun's contract is not okay. How can you blame the guy for wanting to go somewhere else? Can you blame him? No. You can't blame Balogun for wanting to leave, can you? At all. You cannot blame the kid for wanting to go. And that is what I'm so sick of. I'm so sick of the fact that the same 11 is picked. That's the biggest problem. It's not even individual players like Xhaka. You can have a go and say that Xhaka being picked is idiotic, and it was. But Willian again. Willian again. And I know the argument is to say that who do you pick instead of Willian? But after Emile Smith-Rowe performance, you say, well, you chuck Saka on the right and you put Emile Smith-Rowe on the left because he had an excellent performance in midweek. Why are you picking Xhaka? Pick Ceballos instead of him, who did show a little bit when he came on to try and make something happen. Put Ceballos in. Put Mainsley in. Put Mainsley in the midfield. Bellerin's now suspended for the next game because of that yellow card. So we're without Xhaka and Bellerin. That's going to be interesting in Southampton because 2 of the 3 players that we want them to not play effectively in those 2. They're not going to be playing on Wednesday. So that's going to be interesting to see how we perform it. Because if we go and win, imagine, if you heard of this word win, it's the opposite of loss. I might need to introduce you to it. There is actually another option to draws and losses. There's this thing called winning. I don't know, maybe we'll see it again someday. But we're going to be without 2 of those 3. If Willian starts, I will be beyond help. Beyond help. So beyond help. There is no conscious mind that looks at Willian's performances and goes, yes, he should start the next game. And Pepe's back. And if I see Pepe on the right and Willian on the... And the thing is, you can see it happening. You can see that decision happening because he has lost it. He has lost it. He is too inexperienced for this position. And that is the honest truth. I didn't expect us to be here. I think that Arteta would do a decent job of a team that is clicking and it's got all of the players. And I'll be interested to see, because it's probably likely that he's going to have another job. He's not going to be Arsenal manager for too much longer if this continues. So I'll be interested to track his progress at another club. I don't know who's going to give him a job based on this. I mean, the FA Cup probably gives him a bit. But based on this, who's going to employ him? Who? Don't really know. Maybe Everton when they get rid of Ancelotti. I'm too hurt. I'm really sorry that I haven't been reading out too many of your comments this evening. I'm just a little bit hurt. And I'm genuinely reading out a lot of your comments. It's not upsetting in terms of like, it's upsetting. I don't like seeing the audience of this show like as done in as a lot of us are, because we've had some really good times on this channel. So, and this is the lowest it has ever been. Now Arsenal says, do you think that Balogun's contract leaks has something to do with him not being on the bench? Maybe. Tane Wang says, we got nothing on the right hand side now. Nelson is injured and Pepe has been out due to suspension, thus a bit harsh criticising Willian. We have options, Tang Wang. Like we have, it's not harsh, is it? He's been average, so average. He has not been worthy of a start, and yet Emile Smith-Rowe, week in week out, has put on good performances whenever he's shown. Say week in the under 23s, and then he's come into the under 20. He's come into the Europa League squad, and he's got an assist, and he's scored twice, I think. No, just the once, but he's got a couple of assists and he's scored. And then Balogun's got 2 goals in 61 minutes, and we're desperate for goals. We're desperate for players to take chances. Just throw the kids in, man. Just throw the... Oh, that was close. Just throw the kids in. Just throw... They're going to want to play. Like, they're actually going to want to try. The young uns are actually going to want to try. Play them. Play Smith-Rowe. Play Cedric. Look at me. I'm saying play Cedric. Play Cedric. Play Saliba. Like, play these young guys that want to prove that they are worthy of a place. Not these just lackadaisical, utterly undemotivated, do not care, could not give a flying whatever about the future of the club. They don't care. They're getting good money because the club overpay them. Where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? But you better throw Xhaka under the bus like you did Pepe. Well, that's so funny, isn't it? That's really funny because a lot of people criticised. That's such a funny comment because so many people criticised for him for throwing Pepe under the bus. But now they're like, he must throw Xhaka under the bus. Like he must do it wrong again. He shouldn't learn from the Pepe mistakes. He should make that same mistake again. Such a funny comment. Oh, can you see the stupidity? Like, how do you not see the hypocrisy in that is so silly. Like, he better throw Xhaka under the bus. He better throw him under the bus. Oh, God. Oh, dearie me. That's so silly. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Thank you, O'Malley, for the donation. Arteta instills no discipline. He's not it. Willian to Dubai, 2 reds for lashing out at players. Guendouzi Mope fights in training. Mole in the locker room. It's not good. It's not a good portrait, is it, O'Malley? It's not good. It is not good. AFTW 12345 says, you gave me stick for saying Arteta didn't have any courage. I gave you stick because I didn't think courage is the right word. And I still don't think it is. I think you need to learn the definition of courage. I don't know what courage is. You lose it, Tom says, Ryan. Yeah, I am. This is what relegation form does to you, Ryan. I know you've not had to experience this as a Liverpool fan. You've had your bad times, Ryan. But this is different level. Like this is new ground. Like this is unbelievable. Oh, man. Tony Mills says, I was wrong about Arteta. He ain't ready for the job. Balogun will leave because he won't get a chance under the manager. Tony, respect to you, mate. Respect to you for holding your hands up. Respect for holding... And the thing is that, Tony, if you go out there and if you put that on social media, you're going to get laughed at because there are idiots and morons, people that think they're funny and hard and they're not, are going to laugh at you for that. But fair play to you for saying that you backed him. Fair play for you thinking that he was the right man. And fair play for you to hold your hands up and saying that he's not. Because we're getting to that stage where you have to hold your hands up and say that he is too inexperienced to be in this position. That's the honest fact, is that Arteta is too inexperienced to be in this position, to get us out of this stage. He is not the type of manager for this position that Arsenal are in. He's not going to get you gone from that. You need a manager that's going to get the best out of the current players that you got now without thinking about the long term of it. Like you can't ignore the short term. You can't ignore it. The club has to do something. There needs to be communication. And what's really bugs me is that we've heard nothing from the club. We are in one of the worst situations that this club has been in, and there's nothing. Absolutely zero. And this is where other things, what I will say is you've got movements. You've got people, self-loving people, like We Care Do You, that have tried to put themselves onto, say, a pedestal and say that, oh yeah, let's get a movement going. Let's try and see if the ownership actually care. Like, what are you? Like, you want to gain credit for that? Congrats. Like, I was actually part of that, and you should have seen the vitriol that some of the people in that group put about people, clubs, players, etc. Disgusting. So I left that group, and you'll see them pop up when it's bad, like it is now. Maybe we'll get a statement from them. But honestly, like, what more can we do as fans? I'm never one to try and get behind protest and stuff like that. I don't think it's healthy, but I am one to say that you have a right to be well upset. You have a right to feel cheated. And I feel cheated. I feel so let down in support of this coach for backing him and for him to continually make these mistakes, for him to continually pick Willian, pick Xhaka, pick other players that are not to pick Aubameyang. If we're being very honest, like, he's not shown anything, has he? He's not done. And then you've got Eddie Nketiah plucking away in the under-23s. And I'm not one who thinks that Eddie Nketiah's got a massive future at Arsenal, but he's bloody scoring, isn't he? He's taking chances that he gets when they come to him. And honestly, Aubameyang is not doing that. He's falling over in the box. He's scoring own goals. What's he doing? He's not doing anything, but he's undroppable because Arteta just seemingly doesn't have the front to be able to drop him at this stage. Doesn't have the front. Does not have the front at all. Marvick, don't rate us. Tom, people question players like Willian, but please, I want to know the stats on Saka. I think he's been very poor. Because he's young and he was performing last season, no one seems to mention that he was poor. I think that's harsh, Marvick. I think that if you look at what Saka did today, like, he's the only one driving the play forwards. He's the only one trying to do something. He's the only one trying to play. It's not much of it is coming off. I think that's harsh. I don't think Saka is the type to do that at all. Thomas Lear says, Benitez with good players, mouth-watering. We need his unity and ability to rally the troops and get us for the rest of the season. I don't know. I don't know if Benitez is the right person. I don't know if that's the right person. But we're going to have to start having that conversation, aren't we? We're going to have to start having those podcasts. We're going to have to start having those tactical breakdowns of managers again. Sure we did that? Sure we did tactical breakdowns of coaches? Remember that? Yeah, we might have to go back there. We'll have to do that again. Brandon McCullum says, you honestly wouldn't be able to field an 11 if you only chose players who were performing. No, you wouldn't. Well, actually, maybe you would, because there have been players that are performing in other competitions. Like, you would be able to put a team together with that. I think, why not do a front line of Saka, who's the only one that for me stays there, Nketiah or Balogun, and Smith Rowe. That's what I put against Southampton at the end of the day, because anyone's going to fight. They're going to fight. They're going to try. You're not going to get fight from Aubameyang and Lacazette right now, are you? Like, you're not going to get anything from that. Absolutely nothing. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Zamir says, what's the post-Arteta plan, Tom? Do we trust Mertesacker till the end of the year? No top manager. No, Zamir, it's too bad. Like, it's too bad right now to put an interim coach in place. It is too bad to put an interim coach in place now. You cannot leave Arsenal like we left them under Freddie Ljungberg for that period of time. This needs to be a quick decision. If they are going to remove Arteta, I'm sorry. If they're going to remove him, then they need to do it quickly, and they need to get someone in quickly that can have the best possible time with the coaches. It's just, yeah, unbelievable. How can he not play Smith Rowe today? No idea. Bradley Costello says we need a manager to come in and realise that they're not good enough and look to the kids like Smith Rowe and Saliba, and then we can build from there. You're 100% spot on. I don't disagree with you, mate. Like, you are bang on. Absolutely bang on. Let me just check something quickly. Did I put the right... No, I'm just going to change the image very quickly so people know what this is. It's a shit show. That's what it is. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's get some more of your comments before we go. And you know what? Mertesacker was on his phone. Did you see that? Did you see Mertesacker on his phone during the game like he was playing a game? Maybe he was texting a new manager. Javier, Pochettino's not coming, mate. I wouldn't get your hopes up on that one. Jared says, if they are going to remove him, they need to have a replacement lined up and ready to step in straight away. Not an interim for a month while we look around. Exactly. 100%. Javier says, Poch or Pulis? Take either. Take either. Unbelievable. Martinique Hostel says, City will take him back. Maybe. A says, bring in a manager now so we can have a month to see what players need to go. It makes sense, doesn't it? Like, it makes 100% sense to bring in someone ASAP to get a feel for the club and to then kind of see and work out what players he wants to keep, what players are going to get the best from him, and what players are going to go. If you are going to change, it has to be now. You can't wait till January. You cannot wait. Southampton, the result against Southampton, I think he's still going to be in charge. For Southampton. But beyond that, I don't know. Has there been any comments yet? Any comments yet from the interview from the manager? I'm looking at Charles Watts. I'm looking at your son. Where are your comments from the manager? Tell me. I want to know what he said. No, nothing so far. Nothing. Suraj says, Tom, I think we need to be patient. Stick with Arteta and hope he plays with the kids. You can't hope, though, Suraj. I've been sitting here backing and saying he's going to change things. He's going to learn from his mistakes, but he's not. He's not learning from those mistakes, is he? He's not learning from any of them. So we can't sit there and... It's silly. Like, it's the definition of an insanity. You're trying the same thing over and over again, and you're expecting a different result when it's not going to come. We played the same squad against Spurs today against Burnley. If you're setting up your squads differently to play against different sides, El Neni was the only difference, like from Partey. El Neni was the only difference. That's only because Partey was injured. And yes, it's been terrible that Partey has not been able to play. And that has definitely had an impact on how good we've been able to be. But I'm sorry, but this same squad was winning an FA Cup last season playing a different way. We are not playing a system that now suits this team at all. We are continuing with this back four. We're continuing to try and play with a front three and a midfield three, and it is not working. There is no player that knows their role properly. There's no player that knows exactly what the manager wants from them. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that this is continuing. Absolutely terrible. Jeffrey says, who do you want as a manager? If Arteta is to go, I've only had one suggestion that I liked, and that was Ralph Hasenhüttl. That is the only person that I've looked at and gone, that makes quite a bit of sense. The way that he's worked with young players, the way that he's got the best out of those Southampton players, the way he's got them playing a really good system with two forwards in Che Adams and Danny Ings. He's got them playing really well. It would cost a bit of money to get him in. But what do you do? What do you do at this stage? Like who's going to save this? Because even if you get a new coach in, this group of players is terrible. It is terrible. So bad. And you just got to hope that somehow, if we do get someone in, that they can change things. That they can get the best from the players that we've got, can re-galvanise them. But then you've got to think, is this actually maintainable? Is it just going to be a short-term new manager bounce? What is the long term of this? Because if you pick a manager that's just focused on the short term, yeah, it will save us from relegation. But is it really going to propel us to the next stage? If you bring someone else in, you might get the new manager bounce, but you got to be so careful about who you pick. You got to be so careful, because if you pick the wrong person, it will backfire and we'll be back here again. Do I trust the club to make a good decision? No. I don't trust the club to make a good decision. I don't know. They have so little experience. They're so inexperienced. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Any other comments that I'm seeing so far? What? Patrice Evra has said that Thierry Henry invited me round his house once to watch the Arsenal game. I went round. Thierry Henry turned the TV off straight away and said, sorry, I cannot watch Xhaka be the captain of my club. Wow. That's interesting. Jesus. Mikel Arteta, here we go. Here's some comments from the manager. Mikel, you saw the performance of the boys. How much they want. Are you kidding? The way they played, the chances we created, the dominance we had throughout the game. Again, we throw the game away by giving a silly red card and we lost. Are you kidding? You saw the performance of the boys, how much they wanted it. What? I wish I could come up with a good analogy to compare that to. If you've got one, tell me. But that is the biggest load of BS. You can only be so media savvy for so long. That's a joke. That is a... What? I don't understand. The only good period we had was at the start of the second half before the red card came. That is it. First half was passive. First half was exactly the same as we've seen all the time, every time we've played. Nothing was different because the same bloody team played. And yet you can come out in the media and say that you saw the performance of the boys, how much they wanted it. This is why and this is what makes me angry, is because I've sat here and put my reputation, if I have one, on the line and said I've backed him and I said I wanted him to do well, and to come out and just send a load of BS to Arsenal fans like that is just utter bollocks. It's utterly bollocks. It just doesn't make any sense. Arteta on, if the game turned from the red card. You saw what happened in the other 60, 70 minutes. We had total control of the game and we should have won it earlier. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Arteta on Xhaka's red card. Same words, he says, as I said about Pepe's against Leeds. In this condition, even worse. The conditions we are in, without winning football matches, you cannot do that. Okay, so he's done what you wanted. He's thrown the player under the bus. He's done that. Should he have done that? Oh, he's remaining consistent. But he shouldn't be saying that, really. He's fuming. You can tell he's fuming. But I'm sorry, but it's just plain like it doesn't. Oh. This needs to be vodka. This is water, believe it or not. It's not strong enough for what I need. That is a joke. That's disgusting. How can he sit there and turn to the fans and say they wanted it? You can see how much they wanted it. And then to contradict yourself by saying that Xhaka, by throwing Xhaka under the bus, you can't defend your team after a lackluster performance like that against Burnley and then go and say, oh man, I feel so betrayed. I just feel so betrayed. I really do. I genuinely feel so betrayed by this. Like, I know he's not watched the show. I know Arteta's not been watching the show. I get that. I know he's not seen how I feel, but I feel betrayed because I feel like I've backed this guy and he's just letting us down. He's just letting us down. Dearie me. Can we stop spamming in the chat, please, lads? And yeah, I mean, I don't blame some of you, but still, unbelievable. Let's keep it real. We're in a relegation battle, says that guy D. Tom, we told you so. I deserved that, didn't I? Cheers, Yannick. You know how to make a man feel better in his time. Oh, I mean, be honest though, Yannick. I'm interested on your thoughts. So tell me your thoughts. Like, can you understand where I was coming from in the terms of, we'll have to do a show on this, obviously, I think, about kind of Arteta's tenure at the club. And you can understand where we thought things were improving. Like defensively, we looked like we had been better. And that's something that we've waited for a long time. We made signings that we have wanted for a long time in Gabriel and Partey. But you can't say that. You can't just lie to the fan base. Like, it was so bad. You can't say that they fought. Like, you can't say that they fought for that victory. Like, you just can't. Oh, dearie me. Let's see what people are saying. Drew, what's Drew said? Said this on the Goon Talk last week and will repeat. I rate Arteta and think he does have a future, but big jobs for first-time managers rarely happen for a reason. I wanted him in, but we have to be honest now that this could be too big for him. I can't disagree with you, Drew. You're spot on, mate. You're spot on. Lathan says, Tom, nothing wrong with backing the manager, and for as long as we have, but opinions change every coming month. Exactly. And that's the thing, Lathan, is that opinions do change. The more evidence that you are given, the more you are entitled to change. And we all go back to kind of talking about this on social media, is that you will say one thing months ago, and obviously the curse of being a content creator is everything that you've said and done is recorded. And so therefore, when you go and you put that on and you put it out there, it can be referenced to 6 months later. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. But yeah, I feel let down. I feel really let down. I feel so betrayed. I feel so betrayed. Like, it's horrible. It's really horrible. What credentials did Arteta have to take a job of this magnitude in the first place? Arteta is woefully out of his depth. I mean, the argument at the time was that he was showing a lot of potential. You would say, what were the credentials of Julian Nagelsmann at his first job? What were the credentials of other managers when they first took jobs? But those jobs were not as big. Like, I can't think of any manager that was going into his first job besides Andrea Pirlo, which at Juventus is a very different kettle of fish. And I mean, let's look at Serie A. I haven't been following it too massively. But how are Juventus doing? So Juventus are actually 4th at the moment, and they've lost no games, but they've drawn 5. And maybe that's another thing, is that they've given Andrea Pirlo that position at Juve, and maybe it's further evidence that these young coaches, that you need the experience first. Frank Lampard at Chelsea was able to go to Derby first, was able to get that experience first, and to build that up. Whereas Arteta, no. He's gone straight into it. And it was a risk. And at the time, it was a case of Arsenal in a position where I felt they could take a risk. And it worked for a bit. Like, it worked. We won an FA Cup. We got back into Europe. But ultimately, this isn't working because we've not... The personnel are too bad. I think they've let the coach down a lot, but you're picking the same players, so how can you defend that? You can't defend that. You pick Granit Xhaka every single bloody week after being bad performance after bad performance. And you can't, and that's what annoys me about that. And the comments about Arteta is he literally referenced the Pepe scenario, which he shouldn't have done, according to the quotes that I've read. And he goes, you can't do that in this moment. Like, you can't do that. But you've picked him. You picked him. It's on you. The buck falls at you. Can't blame Xhaka because you've picked him when you shouldn't have picked him. Like, how can you blame anyone else but yourself for that decision? Victor Edwards says, I hope when Arteta leaves and gets more experience, that he will be able to come back a better, more experienced and respected manager. Yeah, that's a nice positive way of looking at it, Victor. And I wish him the best. Amir Raul says, Henry sacked, Vieira sacked. Has Henry been sacked from Montreal Impact, or are you talking about Monaco? Arteta probably sacked. Maybe former Arsenal players are not managerial material. And how many people wanted former Arsenal players at the club? How many people were desperate for it? How many? Thomas Lear says, hopefully Kroenke sell the clubs because otherwise he needs to invest and give us the attention. They are investing. Oh, we're not getting onto the Kroenkes. I'm not going onto the Kroenkes about it because it's just not relevant right now. It's just not relevant. It's just not a... it's just not a relevant thing. Oh, more spam in the chat. It's just long. Why can't there be like a detection system for this? Like, there should be a detection system, really. This club is a mess from top to bottom. It's time for Big Sam, says Big Sam for me, says Pablo Mira. He always saves teams from relegation. Uncub says, look at the people Arteta bought in the staff as well. What has our set piece specialist done? He's made us better defending set pieces, except from ourselves. We can't score from set pieces unless they are in our own net. That's the situation we're at now. Just Ad Collect says, watching the game, Just like many other this season, there are so many passes that are not being played. 1-2 seem to be a thing of the past. Ceballos comes on and he does that because it's in his DNA. Why Ceballos didn't start, I do not know. Tulip says, next 3 games are perfect for 3-4-3 and we might get some result. I'll still want to see Arteta for 2 more games. Fair enough. If you want to see him for the next couple of games and see how it goes, I can't blame you for that. I just think it's a case of, it's just what he's just going to pick. He's now forced to pick other players other than Xhaka, and I think that is going to hide some deficiencies, unfortunately. There's an option to delete club on FIFA. Can I do this, Tom? John Fairbanks says, Fabrizio Romano said in an interview on another channel that the club and board support Arteta is unwavering. Quote, they've been in love with him since day one. And that's why I've said this for the whole time, is that I don't expect him to be sacked. I don't expect the club to change manager. I don't expect him to go anywhere. Do you? Like, we did this at the start of the show. I said yes or no. I just don't see it. Brandon said this is not a good side. Some individual talent, but not a good team. They won an FA Cup and they beat Chelsea and they beat Man City, and like there are players of quality in this side, but they're not being used properly. And then we're putting the worst ones in. The worst ones in. Phillips. Oh, this is a good question. What's your next starting 11? Which is an interesting question for next game. In goal, Leno stays the same. Tierney stays. Gabriel stays. Saliba. Put him in, man. Just try him. Just try him. I know it contradicts everything that I said earlier on today, but like we're at a stage now where it doesn't bloody matter, does it? It doesn't matter. Like, just try him. Like, at least put him in the squads. Like, at least put him in the squads. If you're not going to use it, you're the one who turned around in an interview and said that he's ready, supposedly, like he's ready to join up with the team. Put him in the squads. Give him a chance. Why the hell not at this stage? I suppose you have to put. I'd still go 3 at the back. And I'd go Mainsley on the left. Probably Cedric, obviously, because Bellerin's suspended on the right. I'd put Mainsley and El Neni in the middle. And then I would go for a front line of Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka and Balogun. Because I don't want... The others don't care. The others do not care. Jesus Christ. Jared says at this point, no harm in starting a number of new players. The current team has done nothing. Exactly. There's no harm in it. There is absolutely no harm in putting in some younger players right now. There's no harm in doing that at all. Like, there's no harm in doing that whatsoever, because the current side are not doing anything at all. At all. Victor Edwards says, Elliot on the Arsenal Vision podcast unfortunately predicted what would happen with Alba after the new contract. He was spot on. How he was exceeding XG and it was unsustainable. Tulip says, Tom, can you please repeat what was the opposite of lose and lost? I keep forgetting as it's not familiar with me. Yeah, I'm kind of forgetting what that is. Really, really. Jay Dubia says, Tom, I've never seen you so resigned. Unfortunately, I'm with you. Dubia, you cannot go on, like, you can't just back what you're seeing when there's no evidence to suggest anything else. Like, your opinion changes based upon the evidence that you are given, and we maintain that on the channel. And if anyone wants to change their opinion on anything, we fully support that. Like, you are well within your rights to change your minds about anything, ever. And you shouldn't get called up for it, because things change, situations change, and ultimately this is not working. Is it? It's not working. Like, we're not winning games. We're not scoring goals. That's the biggest thing. If we were losing games like 3-2, 4-3, 2-1, where we're actually scoring goals, then you could say something. But we're not scoring. Like, we're not scoring goals at all. At home against Burnley. That's where we're at. That is the situation we are in. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Mully says, why not try the homegrown youth squad? Why not? Like, why not try more youth at this stage? Because they're not trying. There's nothing coming from those players at all. And if you change your opinion, we welcome you to the dark side, says Yannick. Oh, dearie me. Aziz is another good choice. Possibly so. He's been ripping it up. But it's not going to happen, though, is it? Like, it's not going to happen. Like, we know that. Like, we can sit here all day long and say this is what we want, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to change. He's not going to pick the youngsters. He's going to continue to pick those players and hope they change. Look how long he played Lacazette for while he was terrible. Look how long he stuck with him before he benched him. It was really bad. CFR ever says this kind of feels worse than it does. It is at the moment. It feels worse than the Emery situation. It feels worse than that. We look back and we reflect, and you go, in the long term, in the short term, we got a bit of a bounce. Like ex-pro, ex-Arsenal player comes in, gets the bounce, does quite well, wins a cup. Yay. But when the going gets tough, it's just not worked. When we start to drop a few points, and actually, I mean, if you look at Arsenal's games this season, let's try and pinpoint the moment that it went wrong in the season. Arsenal fixtures, here we go. Let's try and work this out together. If we look at the season as a whole, let me throw this on the screen for you. Here we go. So, if we have a look at the season as a whole, first game we win 3-0 against Fulham, against a Fulham side that had just come up from the Championship and were all over the place. And it was like, oh, that's great. And then we go and beat West Ham in a game in which there were signs, weren't there? There were signs that we weren't all that. And in that game, when we went 1-0 up through that Lacazette goal, it was very fortunate. And then Mikel Antonio scored to equalise just before half-time, and then we had to rely on a very, very late Eddie Nketiah goal. We beat Leicester in the Carabao Cup, great, against their B team. We played quite a strong side. Then the Liverpool game. And we sat there in the Liverpool game and we were like, we remained competitive. And I thought we did. And I thought we were more competitive in that game. But we were very passive still. We didn't really offer too much. And the little chances we did create, we didn't take them. And ultimately we lost. We then had the game against Sheffield United. Again, we were in a situation where we could not score. It was 0-0 at half-time. And then a flurry of goals from Pepe and Saka, which was a header, I think, from Saka. And then Pepe's bursting run. And then we nearly lost it at the end because of the McGoldrick goal. You carry on to the Man City game. The Man City game was City played really bad. City were not the City that we've come to expect. They weren't a good City that game. And we were able to stay in it. But we missed some big chances. Saka missed a big chance. Aubameyang missed a big chance. Leicester at home couldn't score. This is where it starts to get worrying. Like, we couldn't score goals. Like, we can't score. The last goal from open play we scored before Leicester was the goals against Sheffield United. We didn't score any goals against Man City. We didn't score any goals against Leicester. We scored a penalty against Man United in a game that was destined to be 0-0. We then we lost 3-0 to Aston Villa in the biggest turnaround, arguably, of the season, the biggest sign that we saw. We drew 0-0 against Leeds. We then lost 2-1 against Wolves in a game in which we scored from open play from a cross to Gabriel. And then when they went 2-1 up, we couldn't then hit them on the counter. We could do nothing. We then lost to Spurs in a game in which we just played into a more experienced manager's hands perfectly. And now we've lost to Burnley. And our next games are against Southampton, who are on fire. Everton, who just turned their form around with a win against Chelsea. And then Chelsea. And then Brighton away, which we never win. So I can't see this getting better. I can't see it getting better at all. Pablo Mira, thank you ever so much for joining up as a member. You must be a glutton for punishment. To sign up as a member after today's game, fair play to you. Full respect. If you've enjoyed yourself in the chat and you want to join up and join our Discord server, because our Discord server is now basically a therapy group whereby they can console each other and you can just put your rage and your thoughts out there. So I hope you enjoy yourself, Pablo, and welcome to the crew. I I'm going to have to do a members pod, I think, soon as well with some of you guys. We'll have a sit down. We'll have a chat about what's going on. And Pablo, you've said, let's see, read out your comment. You said, I've backed Arteta up until today. It's a shame, but he's got to go now. And I have absolutely no problem. No problem with you turning around and saying that I was wrong. And now it's time. Malhotra says, why is everything we're doing coming from the flanks? Where is the give and go in the middle? Hell, there must be many. There are many creative players on the wings also, which we don't try. We're so flat right now. Holodonkey says, we need a manager who can bring a fluid attack and a solid defence at the same time. We need to find that balance, and we haven't. We haven't found that balance. Zamir says, yes, live therapy. It is live therapy. That is what it is today. Summary of today's game. The Xhaka emoji. Yeah, that's going to be removed. And Ketia is a tap-in merchant. But the thing is, is that he might be a tap-in merchant, but when he's playing with the players like Smith Rowe and Nelson, we're actually creating those chances, and we've not created those. So why don't we play the players that are creating those types of chances? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Raheel says, Tom, why do you think of shutting down the club and turning it into a shopping complex? Seems like we are better at marketing than at football. R.I.P. Arsenal. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? Yeah, I think we'd get more money from sales, actually. If we did turn the club into a supermarket, we might actually get more money from sales. JW says, Tom, why aren't we using the Europa League team? They've won 6 out of 6. Can't be worse than what we're doing now. Just common sense. It is common sense. There are good performances going on in the Europa League that are not being rewarded. They're not being rewarded for playing well in the competition. And it's a joke, how you can play so well in that competition and not be rewarded by adding to the first team in the league. It makes no sense. I'm 100% on board with you, W. There we go. Sorry. Master Chief says it went wrong after 25-man squad was announced. Players lost faith in Arteta for his treatment of senior players. And I think there is certainly an error in terms of Ozil's lack of inclusion in the squad. I can understand him not wanting to play him, but the always coming back to not including him in the 25-man squad is probably an error. It's an error. Whether you want him to play or not, I personally don't think he would really change too much about what's going on right now. But not putting him in the squad is a mistake, because you can't even use him then. You haven't even got the option. He says, Tom only pods for an hour long when he's livid. The unfortunate silver lining. I should do more comments when we win, but I just want to go off and enjoy the rest of my evening. But I can now rant with this platform. And you can listen to me rant. Apparently Neymar is out for months. Wish him a speedy recovery if he is. That's horrible. And wish him the speediest recovery. Is he actually? Is Neymar actually really horribly injured? I really hope he isn't, but it sounds like he is. He was on a stretcher. Possible broken bone. Wow. Oh, God, that is horrific. Oh, my God, I've just seen it. Oh, do not look that up, because that is horrible. Should not have typed that in. Taiji says, Arteta should become a player manager. He would create more chances. Hilmi says, Eddie Howe in? No. Complex Theory says, will this make Kroenke and the board sit up and pay attention and actually take positive action to help rectify the issues? Probably not. No. I don't expect it to change. I do not expect any change at the club. At all. Do not expect any change whatsoever. Don't look it up, wrong. Do not look it up. David Orlebar says, play bad and you are playing in the Premier League. Play good and play in the Europa. Show talent and you can join the under-23s. Question the manager and bye-bye. Yeah, you raised some good points that I can't disagree with at all. Thomas Lewis says, Arsenal will probably go and buy Neymar now. He says, all it takes is for Arteta to put Mainsley in for Bellerin and Smith Rowe and Balogun to start. Maybe it would see change. Obviously, we're always looking up in hypotheticals, but yeah, it's ridiculous. Saints to win the Super Bowl. Naresh says he has the full backing of the club. He will try the youngsters given the hectic schedule until the next international break in January. The next international break is March, I believe, not January. Vieira in, says Patrick. No, thank you. No, thank you. Delboy says Hassan Hüttel's coming for me. I agree. That is who I would pick. Zamir says Big Sam till the end of the season. Full rebuild in the summer when we can clear out 8-ish players. Charlie and Guyan says we've been losing since we let Gunnosaurus go. Bring him back in the January transfer window as our first signing. See, we're getting to the stage of the show now where we're just getting into we're just getting to the banter comments. Mizbah says, Tom, why do you think Arteta actually plays Xhaka? I think he looks at him as a senior figure. He probably trains really well. And they probably have a really good relationship and he trusts him. And that's probably going to change from now. Sibusiso says the precedent the board has set is that they are reactionary and we will not make any positive moves at all. Iron Cub says to the people saying, look at Ozil's tweet, that's a fake account. Oh, okay. So people are getting fooled by Ozil's account. Did Ozil actually tweet during the game? Let's have a look if Ozil tweeted. No, he didn't. He didn't tweet. He's fed up. He's done in. He's done with tweeting now. He's not going to be doing it anymore. He must be laughing his head off. He must be absolutely laughing his head off at what's going on right now. Jason Miru says those who think Hassan Hüttel will be coming to a relegation team are profoundly deluded. Get real. Don't act like we're a business class when we're actually cattle class. Big Sam or Pear for now. Daniel Roberts says, in all fairness to Xhaka, his parents did give him the keys to his house to prove he's a leader. Gerald says, I don't think that Arteta has options to change anything. Josh Fairbank says, who would have thought I'd be looking forward to international breaks so much? My sanity needs a break. Chris P says, can we all agree that Arteta has got everything he can from Xhaka and it's now an equivalent of diseconomies of scale? Possibly. Tanvir says, I cannot rage anymore. Maybe I am numb to it all now, but thank you, Tom, for making videos even in these depressing times. Good luck and cheers, bro. Thank you, Tanvir. I appreciate that. You've DM'd me the fake tweet if I want to see it. Okay, let's have a look. Need help at Arsenal. Very clever. Yeah, that's going to go viral, and it has. Is Ozil going to Fenerbahce? No idea. Complex Theory says, I think the next step is to get the unwanted players out of the club ASAP. I mean, the next step is probably to get the manager out, if we're being honest, isn't it? That's probably... Hilmy, closing statement. Be honest, Tom. What's next? Thank you for that, because I was actually planning on wrapping things up. So, closing statement. I cannot back decisions that are being made time and time again incorrectly with no reflection, with no change, and with the same result occurring over and over again. And you can't defend that. There's nothing to defend. If he tried to change it and he put different players in and yet we still lost, then you might be able to say on the whole it's the team. Because he's trying different things, he's playing different players, and we're still losing. But that's not what's happening. We're playing the same players over and over again, and we're getting the same result, funnily enough. And so, yeah, things need to change. Do I think the change will happen? No, I don't think the club are going to change anything. Will they prove me wrong? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you for tuning in today. I know it's been a horrible, horrible afternoon, evening once again. But if you could drop a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it. If you could hit the subscribe button if you're new, because we might be doing some tactical breakdowns on some coaches very soon. And yeah, I'd appreciate that a lot if you could. Yeah. We're back for the pod tomorrow. 8:30 tomorrow. We'll have a pod where me, Mike, Andy, and James will be on to discuss everything from today and the fallout of whatever is to come and whatever happens within the next 24 hours. So we'll see you then. drop a like on the vids, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you never miss a show. And other than that, it's been a pleasure to speak to you and have a therapy session with you, as it always is after games. Won't be after the game on Wednesday because I'm working, but we'll do a show on Thursday after that one if you just tune in for the reaction crying sessions. Cheers, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon. As always, I nearly forgot then, up the Arsenal.